What is the role of nutrition in mental health? Can deficiencies affect our mental health?
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
And how would we know?
I think malnourished people, like in the war zones or during World War II, there was tremendous famines and things like that, or in certain places around the world where there's poverty and drought and things like that. People are nutritionally deprived, have very low protein intake. So there are malnutrition states like kwashiorkor and things like that.
Like what?
Kwashiorkor is a protein deficiency.
Okay.
Big bellies, big spleen.
Oh, okay.
And we know physically those people who are nutritionally deprived of certain essential nutrients are physically affected, but they are also mentally affected. There are low IQs. Low IQs are very common in malnourished states. And that affects behavior or academic achievement or future poverty. So there's tremendous amount of evidence that brains are adversely affected by nutritional deprivations. Just in the case of places in the world where there's iodine deficiency in the soil and water. They have goiters, but they have hypothyroidism because they don't have enough iodine to make thyroxine, and they're lower IQs too. So and mentally they're more likely to be depressed or ineffective. Behaviorally, they're affected as well. So mental health has everything to do with neurological health, and neurologically, malnutrition causes severe problems, and you can't separate the neurology with emotions.
But we're talking about impoverished countries, but how about in a country like this where there's plenty? We're still malnourished?
Yeah, there's plenty of convenience foods. There's plenty of junk food that's nutritionally deprived. Wholesome bread with 12 vitamins sprinkled in there after they deplete the nutritional value of the whole grain, and we think that we're getting fortified food, and it's a lie. Anytime there is an effort by the food industry to increase shelf life, for instance. You increase shelf life by getting rid of the things that will go rancid. So in the case of grains, the kernel of the grain is where the fat is. Fat is what makes things go rancid. Natural fat deteriorates, oxidizes, smells and tastes bad, and so it doesn't last very long on the shelf. And the food industry doesn't like losing money if the product isn't purchased within 5 days or so. So they get rid of the kernel, which is where the essential fatty acids are, and the protein is, and a lot of the nutrients and minerals and vitamins are. So we're just enhancing shelf life is getting rid of nutrients. And then they get rid of the grain, or the husk, the bran part, which is the colored part that makes bread not white. So you get rid of the hull where the bran is, and a lot of the vitamins and minerals are in that. So now we have nothing but the carbohydrate, which then they bleach on top of it by adding a chlorine compound to bleach.
So not having enough food or having
processed foods.
Processed foods. Yeah. Either way, you're going to experience malnutrition, and that affects your brain and your mental health.
Anything that affects the body badly is going to affect the brain badly. Maybe it's going to affect the brain even more than the body, because the brain is so metabolically active. It uses 20% of the oxygen, even though it's only 2 or 3% of the body. Uses 15 to 20% of the glucose, even though it's only 2 or 3% of the body. And it probably needs all the vitamin and mineral cofactors even more than the rest of the body. So and we don't doubt that our body being malnourished and deprived of certain essential nutrients is going to be adversely affected. You can assume that the brain is going to be affected, and maybe even worse, in the form of insomnia or low mood or being nervous or not handling day-to-day activities well, not handling loss well, etc.
And learning disabilities.
And learning, academic achievement is lower. No question. And then when you add on top of it all the toxins, the industrial solvents and the toxins that are in the air and the water, and in the soil and the food, we're not only nutritionally deprived, but we're also poisoning ourselves to the point where maybe our liver and the detoxifying organs and cells in our body can't handle the poisons anymore. And if we're nutritionally deprived and also being poisoned, the outcome is not going to be good, and we're seeing that in spades.